Well, our Home Affairs correspondent Catherine Carpenter is outside Fishmongers Hall.
Our Home Affairs correspondent Catherine Carpenter, we just heard here just what a shocking incident this has been.
Our Home Affairs correspondent Catherine Carpenter is in Romford, close to where Jodie died.
There are a number of people locked onto it and locked inside it. There's currently a police cordon around it. Over here there are lines of police. They're waiting in reserve to help out with any arrests that are needed. And also in this green structure behind me there are two women locked inside. There are officers checking on their welfare and trying to work out how to get them out.
It wasn't that long ago, was it, that the terror threat had been lowered?
No, just at the beginning of this month, on the 4th of November, the UK terror threat was lowered for the first time in 2 years. It was reduced from severe to substantial, meaning that it was now believed a terror attack was considered likely rather than highly likely. And at that time too, we were given a sense of the scale of the terror threat to this country.
Our correspondent Catherine Carpenter reports from the Old Bailey, and a warning: her report contains graphic images.
It should have been a routine traffic stop. But when van driver Mohammed Rodwan refuses to cooperate, there's a struggle.
You're not driving away, sir. You're not driving away.
And PC Stuart Alton is repeatedly hit on the head with a rusty 2-foot-long machete. But now former members of SPAC Nation are alleging they were pressured into giving thousands of pounds to the church, burdened with huge debts, and even encouraged to commit fraud.
I don't think it's completely true.
Well, you made £800,000 in the year to the end of December 2018. I mean, that's a vast amount of money collected from young and often quite vulnerable people who tell us that if they don't come up with the cash, they're asked again and again and again, and also that they've been asked to give their bank details, their card details, phone contract details. Why do you need those?
Church does not need that information.
So why do they receive WhatsApp messages that we've seen asking them for those?
Those are people who've acted in a way that is not the policy of the church.
On Wednesday, bereaved parents are going to protest in central London because they don't feel that you or the government have taken the violent crime issue, which has led to the killing of their children, seriously enough. They say it's a crisis. Do you believe that?
I think it's a national emergency. Yes, I agree with them. I think that, first of all, I have met bereaved parents as well. There's nothing more moving as Home Secretary. You meet someone who's lost a loved one.
Do you regret not making it a priority much earlier?
Well, it is an absolute priority for me.
We are mainly focusing on gang members. We've got two gangs competing against each other, primarily for drug trade and areas for drug trade. And the outcome of that is gun and knife crime. We've got a 16-year-old male driver who's got obviously no licence and no insurance. He has been arrested for taking a vehicle without consent of the owner or taking and driving away.
These aren't the violent offenders they were looking for, but the officers hope the arrests might prevent future trouble.
We've got young guys who may not yet have kind of been pulled into the gang.
Pauline Wedderburn has lived on the Tulse Hill estate since she was 11. But today in her flat she's tearful and afraid, the scenes of last night replaying in her mind.
Looked out the window and just saw the boy lying down on the floor. So we put our coat on, we ran downstairs, other people was trying to comfort him at the time. He just was not moving, and then they were like pumping his chest.
What do you think is the most important work you do? What is working?
We go and do really tailored intervention with them, such as self-esteem, conflict resolution, how they can actually say no and walk away because of the greatness they have in them. So we really try and build on the soft skills that they have
because
to make them...
saying no is so hard for a young person, isn't it?
I mean, it takes a lot of skills and it takes a lot of development.
Children in London who have difficult childhood experiences, for example, facing things like domestic violence in the home, are much more likely to become the victims or perpetrators of violence later in life. If you can just see in front of the palace, there's a group of pro-Trump supporters. They're wearing red caps and they're being separated by a line of police from the rest of the demonstration. Now, they're not all here protesting against Donald Trump. Some of them say they're concerned about our own government, about its involvement with NATO and about the NHS. The president himself, of course, has tried to distance himself from UK politics today, but this hasn't satisfied this demonstration, which started in Trafalgar Square.